Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. I hope you had a great weekend. Today is April 29th, 2024. We got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to be talking about first and foremost, we have a lot of video that's set up for you. So primarily, we're going to be talking about the craziness that is still happening on college campuses. I'm going to be asking you the question, is Intifada free speech? And we'll get into that. We'll get into some of the definitions of some of these terms of what's happening. I've been saying for quite some time that I believe that America is in a post-Christian era. I listened to a podcast over the weekend from Hillsdale with John Daniel Davidson of the Federalist, also one with Scott Atlas. And guys, I feel like we're even further down the road than I had imagined. And so this is a generational fight. So every fight that we have, if there is an opportunity to turn America around, and quite frankly, I'm not sure that there is, at least politically. I mean, because the way that it's going to have to happen is going to have to be spiritually. It's going to have to be culturally. And that is going to take a spiritual, what's the word? Revival, if you will. That's going to have to happen in order to affect our politics. Unfortunately, Christians and religious folk, if you will, I never use that term, but I'm using it right now, in America are absolutely too weak. And our generation of children that are growing up are young men and women that are growing up on college campuses that have come along are just absolutely clueless as to the dangers of the world and of the left, communist and Marxist movement, and they were being swallowed up. And as a result, we are seeing so much craziness that has taken place. America is ripe for the taking. So we're going to get into some video and some of the stories that are out there. And again, the biggest issue that we're going to address today on the Carl Jackson Show is Intifada, free speech. And I'm going to show you a lot of videos. So for those of you that might be listening, you may want to subscribe to our Rumble channel as well as our YouTube channel, wherever I am on social media as well. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We certainly appreciate that. Let me just give you this real quick before we get into the videos. Trump and DeSantis, once rivals, are meeting or did meet as of yesterday in South Florida to talk about the 2024 election. Guys, I haven't gotten into this as much because I really don't believe, with the exception of a very few people, I don't believe that President Trump's VP pick will be as significant as people think. Now, I may be wrong. If he picks a DeSantis, then I think that's a big deal. I have a hard time believing that DeSantis would be the VP because I think they would bump heads. I think Trump is a strong man. I think DeSantis is a strong man, meaning a man that wants to be his own man, if you will. And I just think they might bump heads, but you never know. When you look at polls, overwhelmingly, the second pick for people that support Trump is Governor Ron DeSantis. And Governor Ron DeSantis, in my opinion, is the best conservative Republican. And that includes Trump that we've seen in a long, long time. There's no doubt in my mind that if he were to ever become president, he will probably be the best president that we have seen since Coolidge. I'm not convinced that he would necessarily become president because I just think that even those that say that they are conservative are really not. I don't think that a lot of conservatives really know what they're trying to conserve or even fight for. I think there's a lot of clickbait conservatism out there, and it sounds good, but not a lot of people thinking through their worldview, not a lot of people tying in the conservative movement, tying their worldview to our Judeo-Christian heritage or to a biblical worldview. And I don't think that if you don't do that, I don't think that you can hold on to America, frankly. But this is from CBS News. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis met privately with Trump for several hours on Sunday to talk about, in part, about fundraising ahead of the 2024 general election. Several sources familiar with the meeting told CBS the meeting was made at the request of DeSantis, according to a senior Trump source with knowledge of the meeting. It was arranged by real estate investor and longtime Trump donor Steve Witkoff. The meeting was first reported by WAPO, the Washington Post. DeSantis was playing golf at the Shell Bay Club, a private club in Hollywood, Florida. I didn't know he played golf, and agreed to have breakfast with Trump. This, according to a source familiar with the meeting. It's the first meeting. That's weird. So they said it was DeSantis, but then they say he was willing to meet. I don't know. Anyway, it's the first meeting between the two men since DeSantis ended his presidential campaign and endorsed Trump in a video announcement. DeSantis has not campaigned for Trump since ending his own bid. And you guys know that Trump has taken jabs at him since he ended his campaign, despite that. But the Republican primary was hostile between the two men and their campaigns, though Trump easily won the Republican nomination. DeSantis's fundraising network could be useful for the former president, who has lagged his general election opponent, Joe Biden, in fundraising. At an April donor retreat in Florida, DeSantis told attendees he'd help fundraise for Trump and Republicans up and down the ballot. In a private call with supporters of his campaign in February, DeSantis had voiced concerns Trump and Republicans could be outspent 3-1 this year. According to one state, this attendee added that when asked about a potential 2028 presidential run, DeSantis said he hasn't ruled anything out. It's presumptuous to say this or that. I think a lot happens in politics, and he's absolutely right. A long ways to go before 2028. And again, I think this is more of a fundraising thing. I don't necessarily believe that DeSantis would be a VP pick. I wish he would. I understand the Florida issue, but from what I understand, listen, Trump has property in New York. He can claim the property in New York. That should be no problem. But the people that I want to be VP, I don't think it'll happen. I could see. I like DeSantis, obviously. I like Larry Elder. I like Rand Paul. I like some of these people. Even a Ted Cruz. I mean, Ted Cruz ran against former President Donald Trump in 2016, and that was a very nasty primary battle. But could you imagine Ted Cruz as a VP pick? Now, obviously, the concern would be if you picked a senator. We need every single senator. So maybe Ted Cruz and even Rand Paul would be off the table. But those are the types of people that I would be looking for, because we need somebody that, listen, guys, if you and I'll talk about resistance here in just a minute. But let me tell you, if you thought Trump saw resistance in his first presidency, if he is elected, you ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. There are polls out showing that Trump is leading in battleground states. It looks like he's still struggling in the state of Pennsylvania. But otherwise, at least for now it's a long time. We're a long time away from the actual election. So a lot of things can change. But the problem is Joe Biden won't be getting any better. All right. A couple of other stories I just want to bring to your attention real quick, and then we're going to dive right into the headlines. I was looking at these this morning, and let me see what I can find. There's a terrifying interrogation. An American faces 12 years in Turks and Caicos prison after 4 rounds of hunting ammo was found in his luggage. This, according to The Blaze, an American man's dream vacation turned into a nightmare. He's facing 12 years in a Turks and Caicos prison after 4 rounds of hunting ammunition were found in his luggage. So 4 rounds, not a gun, not anything like that. 4 bullets, basically. Ryan Watson is 40 years old. He was looking for rest and relaxation when he went on a tropical vacation with his wife to the Caribbean island of Turks and Caicos. However, Watson said that he had been subjected to terrifying interrogation and exorbitant living fees after Turks and Caicos authorities discovered 4 rounds of hunting ammo in his luggage. Watson and his wife traveled to Turks and Caicos in early April, to celebrate friends' 40th birthdays. Wow. On April 12th, security at the Howard Hamilton International Airport found 4 rounds of ammo unknowingly left in a duffel bag from a deer hunting trip. This, according to a GoFundMe post made on behalf of the family. I'm going to have to check that out. The couple from Oklahoma were able to get through security with the ammo at their local Will Rogers World Airport. Man, that says a lot about TSA, doesn't it? And man, do we have a video Man, do we have a video for you behind when it comes to the illegal invaders coming to the country at a San Diego airport being flown all over the country. The TSA is currently reviewing protocols at Will Rogers World Airport to determine how the ammunition was able to sneak through security. He didn't sneak it through. He accidentally left it in his bag. And those idiots at the TSA didn't find it because they're absolutely worthless. It's such a joke, man. Honestly, I'm not even sure if TSA, when there's stories like this, well, actually, they should be shared because the public needs to know. But, man, it just tells you how worthless they are. Just real quick, obviously, you have Trump is stuck in court and Biden takes advantage of that, but I'm not sure Biden can take advantage of that. You had the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which I never watched. And I meant to get some video of that, but I totally forgot to ask Gabe to grab something or to grab something myself or to ask Tony to grab something. So I don't have any video of that, but what I did here was more joking about Joe Biden. A jokester even said, a comedian, whoever hosted, even talked about how Joe Biden used the cocaine found in the White House or implied for his speech, his State of the Union speech, and so on, etc., and how he was going to steal the next election, and he made fun of that. But it seems like it seems to me that the gloves are off, even when it comes to the left-wing media. I mean, I think they are absolutely running scared. That isn't to say that Trump is going to win the election. All right. I don't want anybody, listen, do not rest on your laurels. Don't believe that this is going to be a runaway election. This is not. You cannot treat it like that. You have to treat it like every single vote counts in order to gain the White House back. And the same should be said about all of your congressional seats, your Senate seats, not to mention local school board, whatever races that you need to know about locally. Just get informed locally and make sure you get the right people in. And I want to just reiterate this. I've said this time and time again. The best place for you to make a difference is in Republican primaries. That it doesn't matter if it's local races. It doesn't matter if it's national races. If you want to get rid of rhinos, if you're really serious about getting rid of rhinos in Washington, D.C., then you need to make sure that you're registered with your party. If you're registered as an independent, like in Florida, people that are registered as independents, they can't participate in the primary process. I would never register as an independent for that reason. And sometimes I cannot stand the Republican Party, but they're more closely aligned with my worldview. So I vote for the Republican Party, but I would never, ever, ever, at least not in the state of Florida, register as an independent, because then I don't get to pick in the primary process. And that is the most important time. That's when you pick the best candidates. So just be aware of that. But you're looking at the battle for the White House, five-way race right now. Trump is up by a point. That makes me a little nervous. But 4 years ago, Biden led by 6.3 points. Top battleground states, Trump is up 3.3% as of right now. I don't know that these polls mean anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many people are still not paying attention, trying to avoid politics. But as far as the battleground states are concerned, I don't see. I thought Biden was up in Pennsylvania. No, it's just close. But every single one, at least right now, Trump is leading in the battleground states. And again, I'm just looking at Real Clear Politics and aggregate of polling. I don't like focusing on polls because I think people think that those are the end all be all. And we saw in 2020, 2022, that simply is not the case. What matters is to get out the vote efforts and people actually showing up to vote. And you're going to have to show up early in many of these cases. All right. Another thing that I saw, this was in Epoch Times, but I don't think let's see. You have the Supreme Court looming battles from gun control to abortion. All of that stuff yet to be decided. So you're going to have it crammed. I mean, there's going to be some crammed decisions probably in late June when it comes to the Supreme Court cases, whether it's Trump's immunity case, abortion, so on, et cetera. So a lot to focus on there. There was a bank. I don't see it right now. I must have not. But there was I think it was the First Republic Bank, another small bank that has failed after a bailout. which could, this could mean ominous signs for the economy. And you know what the left wants to do? You know what these globalists want to do? They literally want to centralize a bank where they have full and total control of our economy and over your money. So it is not good when you see small banks fail. You want more banks. You want more competition. You don't want centralized control like one bank here and that's it, where the government just you don't want that. Because they can gaffle your money. You won't be able to do anything about it. Won't be any competition whatsoever. Okay, so I'm talking a little too long. I didn't mean to go that far into this. The ominous economy. We all know that prices are continuing to creep up. So youth-led climate lawsuits gain with backing of liberal dark money. All right, the left is going to be doing everything they can to destroy America. Just know that. All right, what am I missing here? Anyway, let me do this before I get into the video. Let me talk to you about wealth protection research, guys, because the economy isn't getting any better. Inflation is creeping up. Are the Feds raising the interest rates? I don't think so. At the very heart of our democracy lies a principle that we hold sacred, free speech. It's the cornerstone that supports every freedom that we cherish. Yet in today's digital age, discussions about our wealth, our rights, and our future are being silenced or overshadowed in mainstream media narratives, leaving many feeling voiceless in conversations that are crucial to our financial independence and our security. This is where wealth protection research steps in. They're armed with a mission that's never been more critical. Wealth protection research is not a financial advisory firm. They are defenders of free speech, committed to giving a voice to the silence. Wealth protection research tirelessly seeks out financial experts. These are the voices that challenge prevailing narratives, especially as we navigate the uncertainties of the 2024 election. Wealth protection research has created a 2024 election wealth protection report. This free report highlights the 3 best ideas for protecting and growing your money heading into the 2024 election. It contains ideas the mainstream media won't touch, and listeners can get it completely free. All you have to do is text the word ideas to 76626 to claim your free copy. If you believe in the sanctity of free speech and the importance of financial freedom, act now. Text the word ideas, IDEAS, to 76626 to claim your free copy of this 2024 election protection report. It's time to widen the scope of what we're told, to hear the ideas the establishment does not think you can handle, and to take control of our financial destinies. Text ideas, IDEAS, to 76626 to claim your free copy. All right. And guys, let me just remind you of this real quick too. MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell at MyPillow has got a great deal in store for you. You guys know that these big box stores and some of these shopping channels have basically canceled Mike Lindell. I mean, they've been part of this cancel culture movement that's sweeping the United States of America, unfortunately. So what Mike wants to do is pass the savings directly on to you. So they're having this $25 extravaganza. So when Mike started MyPillow, it was just one product with the company that they made, right? But now with the help of his dedicated employees, they have hundreds of products, some that you may not even know about. So you want to go on mypillow.com and peruse the site. And so to get the word out, what Mike is doing, he's teamed up with me and my listeners to check out their $25 extravaganza. They got a 2-pack multi-use My Pillows for just $25. My Pillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack of towel sets are just $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels, just $25. You guessed it. And for the first time ever, the premium My Pillows with all new Giza fabric are just $25. Order right now. Orders of $75 will receive free shipping. All right. So this amazing offer won't last long. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code Carl, CARL. All right. Mypillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Again, that number, 800-858-0263, and give them the promo code Carl, CARL. All right, Gabe, let's roll. We're going to roll through video after video after video. So Gabe has got his hands on the trigger, metaphorically speaking. And today's question that I'd like to pose to those of you that are in my listening audience is Intifada free speech. There was a brilliant article, in my opinion, written by a guy by the name of, I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly, Frank Miele or Mealy, Miele, on Real Clear Politics. I thought it was an interesting article. I want to go through it. But first, let's turn your attention to the video. This is a warning from the UAE foreign minister. I believe this video was 7 years old, but listen to what he was saying to those of us in the West, whether it is Europe or whether it is the United States of America. Listen to what this guy is saying. Let's go ahead and play this video, por favor, Gabe, and I'll react to it.
And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying.
I have translation.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
All right, so I love this video. Short and sweet. He said there's going to be Islamic extremists coming out of the Middle East. Why? Lack of decision making. And then he talked about PC. And then he talked about PC. So lack of decision making. PC, and those in the West presuming that they know better than the people like in United Arab Emirates, Egypt, that won't tolerate this nonsense. Why do you think it is that Egypt won't let in the Gazans? Why? They know better. They absolutely know better. And it is arrogant and presumptuous of those in the West to assume that we do know better than them. If you have places like Egypt and Jordan, with this Israel and Hamas war that will not let in the people of Gaza, knowing full well that they are going to get a buttload of people that support Intifada, that support, Hamas, that will cause disruption in their countries. If they didn't know better, they would let them in, right? They would let them in. But they're not doing it. They're not as stupid as Americans, right? And so he's absolutely right. Our lack of decision making. I'm sorry, we get all these refugees, and I'll get into it. We get all these refugees coming in from the Middle East. All of this stuff needs to be put to a stop. Obviously, that isn't going to happen with Joe Biden in office. So it makes it even more crucial that we need to stop this nonsense. Anybody that's not going to assimilate into the United States should not be allowed into the United States. I don't care if there's video of you somewhere out there, you're from a foreign country, you want to become American, and you say you hate America, death to America, so on, etc. You should never be allowed to come into the country, as far as I am concerned. And as far as decision making is concerned, once a person shows allegiance to a resistance, Islamist style resistance, where they hate the West, they should be kicked out of the freaking country. I mean, it's as simple as that. We can't bow down to political correctness. He made a great point. We cannot bow down to political correctness. Political correctness is going to, actually, it already has. It's destroyed America. We're so afraid to say anything about anyone and to offend that we're unwilling to speak the truth, even if the truth is going to destroy our country. If the truth is, listen, Islamists come into this country, they're going to blow us up, they're going to kill us, they're going to rape our women and children and so on, etc. That's just truth, because people have a different worldview. And that brings me to the last point that this gentleman made. I don't know if he's still the foreign minister of the United Arab Emirates or what, but the West assumes that we know better than they do. These people know. I won't disagree. I mean, I'll disagree with their tactics. I mean, out there, you get your hand chopped off. I believe, maybe I'm wrong with the United Arab Emirates. They try to be more Western there, but so I'm not exactly sure if that's the method that they follow. But they don't play. I know that much. I know plenty of businessmen that have gone there, and I know that they don't play when it comes to the United Arab Emirates. But what they have is what the West is losing, and they have they have a biblical worldview. It might be different, all right. They're Muslims. We're obviously going to disagree. It's distorted. I shouldn't say they have a biblical worldview. They have a spiritual, they have a religious worldview. And I do believe that if you try to divorce religion from society, then you're in a lot of trouble. And this is what these people recognize. The Islamists, the radical Islamists or extremists, they have a worldview. They have a religious worldview, right? And they want to take over the world, and they want to get you to submit to Allah, even if that means they kill you behind. All right, moving on to the next video. This is a far left leader, one of the student organizers, if not the main student organizer of the Columbia University Hamas protest. And the reason why I say that, and I'm a little slow to say that, I heard Tyrus on Greg Gutfeld's show talk about these protesters as, no, they're not pro-Hamas, they're Hamas protesters. And I was like, I don't know, man. I think that might be a little too far. But the more that I think about it, he may be right. And I'll tell you why. Because these people are complicit. Their ignorance is complicit. Their ignorance, like this idiot that you're about to hear, they are, and these people are book smart. They're book smart. All right. But the problem is, the books that they're reading apparently are brainwashing them against the best country that God has ever given man. And they really don't realize, I think, how deep their hatred goes. Their hatred goes. It is anti-Jewish. Some of these people involved in these protests, I saw an article from the Federalist that read a lot of these people that are being questioned in these protests. They're actually, some of them are Jewish, but they're, which is the weirdest thing to me. But there's plenty of Jewish. Let me see if I can find it, because I thought that was astonishing. Many of the protesters are Jewish, a reality that's very familiar to pro-Israel Jews around the world. One Jewish student protester I interviewed, and this is a columnist at the Federalist this week, actually expressed frustration with the difficulty of keeping legitimate anti-Semites out of the encampment. More broadly, due to the rapid proliferation of anti-Western worldviews, presents a bigger problem for the country at large than the seriously disturbing minority outbursts of anti-Semitism among protesters. Let's see. The point of recognizing... Okay. All right. So... Oh, here it is. This was written by Emily Jashinsky of the Federalist. Let me just read this part. It's important to acknowledge two truths about the anti-Israel campus protests. First, they've clearly included some anti-Semitism, all right, much of which is far more radical than conservative speech the same schools in support of journalists regularly subject to suppression. Second, many, if not most, of the campus protesters outside headline-grabbing anti-Semites believe they oppose Hamas. So a lot of these people actually believe they oppose Hamas. I'm not sure about this gentleman we're getting ready to show you. And they don't hate Jews. They don't believe that their anti-Semitic protests are hatred towards Jews, and they genuinely think that they are fighting a colonialist genocide. So they believe that Jews, I think good Jews, are rallying against maybe bad Jews. I don't know. It's so weird, and it's so convoluted. But in my opinion, it's also what happens when you have a society that's void of God, or if you try to progress in a society or advance a society and ideas that are void of God, everything becomes God. Remember that old stand for something or stand for nothing or something to that effect? That's exactly the truth. You find everybody needs somebody or something to worship. All right. And so when you remove God from society, you get this. Gabe, let's go ahead and play this fool. In this video. Again, this was a far left leader, the student organizer, I believe the main or one of the main student organizers at the Columbia University pro-Hamas or Hamas protest. Let's go ahead and roll the video, por favor, Gabe.
If we can agree as a society, as a collective, that some persons need to die if they have an ideology that results in the death of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. If there are people like that who exist, shouldn't they die? Zionists, they're Nazis. They're Nazis. They're fascists. they're supporters of genocide. Why would we want people who are supporters of genocide to live? I'm confused. Someone in the chat right now, should people who are supporters of genocide, should Zionists, aka Nazis, white supremacists, should they live? Should they live? Zionists, along with all white supremacists, need to not exist because they actively kill and harm vulnerable people. They stop the world from progressing. Oh, okay. Thank you. What? Thank you. And so, be glad, be grateful that I'm not just going out and murdering Zionists. I've never murdered anyone in my life, and I hope to keep it that way. I genuinely hope to keep it that way. But when you have a whole bunch of Zionists and white supremacists and Nazis and fascists threatening your physical safety, one feels the need to remind them that one is not afraid to reach that point. And we know what that point is.
Wow. All right. First off, I know what you're thinking, so let's go ahead and get the first thought out of the way. Gabe, are you ready for this first thought? That there there was a lot of sugar in that Joker's tea because he's sweet as a mug. All right. But let me say this, man. Look at how this fool has been radicalized. This feminine fool. Look at how he's been radicalized I'm assuming on the college campus. So he believes that Zionists, basically people that believe that, Israel has a right to their own homeland. So he believes that Zionists are Nazis. Right. You know, the Nazis that killed 6 million Jews. So they're Nazis. They're fascists. They want a totalitarian state. Never mind the fact that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and they're supporters of genocide, despite the fact that it is constantly the PLO, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Ayatollah of Iran that are attempting to kill off all Jews. The guy is just completely ignorant and uninformed, but leading pro-Hamas protests or Hamas protests at Columbia University. This is where we're at. Gabe, let's go ahead and get the next video. This is why you should be concerned. Have you guys seen this video? Have you seen this video? Illegal aliens boarding planes in San Diego. Let's go ahead and roll it. I want you to see it. You see TSA? You see TSA anywhere? Oh, yeah, there's TSA. One TSA standing with a mask still on his face in California. It should tell you all you need to know, at least about California.
They're being flown around the country on our tax dollars.
Illegal aliens being flown around the country. You're getting to pay for it, and they're seeing upwards of 1,000, 2,000 illegal aliens, even from China, come into the country weekly, coming through this area. Last week, I think there were as many as 2,000. Why are the people from China coming in? Daily Signal has a great column on that. One, it's easy, but perhaps we'll talk about that. Perhaps we'll talk about that tomorrow. But what do you think is going to happen? These people are being in California. It's so easy in California. Illegal aliens can invade our country. They can go in apparently to the San Diego airport. They've got permission. They can walk right through TSA. They're not being checked. Their IDs we have no idea who they are. They can just lie, and they're being flown. They can give them a destination as to where they want to go. And they'll be flown around the country and dispersed into different areas of the country. How crazy and how insane are we? Guys, Democrats, I hate to say it, they're playing long ball. And we're living in a post-Christian America. We're living in a post-rule of law America. We're living in a post-constitutional America. That's just where we are. And so if we don't restore those founding principles that made this country great in the first place, we're going to lose it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now I want to play you this chick. This is the New York, I think New York assistant DA, a chick by the name of Sandra Dorley. Let me just say this. Actually, let's go ahead and roll the video. This chick ran from police officers with her vehicle. I want you, this chick is above the law. Now, keep in mind, they're persecuting former President Donald Trump in New York. But let's see how this DA or assistant DA, Sandra Dorley, behaves when it comes to the rule of law. Let's go ahead and roll the video, por favor, Gabe.
Didn't stop at all. Did you not hear my lights or sirens or anything?
No, I didn't actually. I was on the phone.
Okay, well, you're not supposed to be on the phone while you're driving either.
Yes, I am with the hands-free. Absolutely.
Okay. Why are you so upset at me? I'm doing my job. You just admitted to me that you were going 55 and a 35 on Phillips Road.
Can you please tell him to leave me alone? It's
Officer Christopher. Can you stay over here, ma'am? This is a traffic. This is a legal traffic stop. Do you have your ID?
No, it's in my purse. Here.
You have your purse right there.
No, this is my lunch. Would you talk to Dennis? I'm the one who prosecutes it. Okay? Just go ahead and do it. Go ahead. You know what I've been dealing with all day? 3 murders in the city. And do you think I really care if I was going 20 miles over the speed limit?
Okay, I'm just doing my job. If you pulled over when you saw my lights, which obviously you did.
I thought you were going somewhere else because I thought no one would ever pull a black SUV if you ran my plates.
I didn't run your plate. I just called your plate out. And then I'm following you because you're not stopping.
All right, bye.
Hi.
Hi, I'll talk to Jeff. Okay, sorry. Okay. I didn't want to pull over on Phillips Road. It was just, I figured I'd just pull into my driveway.
Okay. Well,
and I called Dennis and I said,
okay,
that's me that they're trying to stop.
Okay.
So that's the end of story.
Okay, but you should know better, right?
I was speeding. I know that.
Okay, so why didn't you just stop like you're supposed to?
Because I didn't feel like stopping on Phillips Road at 5:30.
That's not your choice. You know that.
Well, I made it my choice.
Okay, well, now you made it a bigger deal than it needed to be.
It's a really bigger deal, and when people start coming, it's a much bigger deal.
Well, you caused that, Sandra. Well, what do you want us to do? Not do our job because it's you?
No.
You broke another law because of that, right? And you should know better. That's not a traffic ticket. That's an arrestable offense, Sandra. You know this.
I was right down the street. I figured I will just stop in my driveway. That's what I figured. I thought it would be easier. Apparently I was wrong.
Yeah, well, that was not the right choice.
Yeah, this lady has developed a few stories just since I've been watching. Apparently I was wrong. The prosecutor. Ruse for thee, but not for me. That's how they roll. That's a civil society. A civil society cannot exist like this. If the people that are exacting and writing the legislation, if they're not going to submit to the legislation, the society won't work. That's why the founding fathers, a couple of them said this Constitution, this nation, and I'm misquoting, I know, is wholly inadequate for an irreligious people, for an immoral and irreligious people. I know I'm butchering that, but basically, if you don't have a moral society, if you don't have moral leaders, you don't have a nation. If you don't have moral people that are willing to hold a DA like that or assistant DA of New York, what's her name again, Sandra Dorley, that was unwilling to submit to the rule of law, then you don't have a nation. Now, here's what should happen, in my opinion, when you have disorderly conduct, when people they go beyond the line of just protesting, but when they're interfering in other people's lives and so on, etc. When it crosses a line, this is what should happen. I'm not sure if this is in Texas. I believe it might be on a Texas campus, but this is what should happen. Let's go ahead and roll this video. This is an economics professor at a protest getting a dose of reality, and I absolutely love this video. Let's go ahead and roll it, por favor. Yeah, bye.
Get on the ground, I said! rabid dog!
Oh my God!
Give me some cops!
My head!
You hit that trooper.
You just hit my head! On the concrete!
Oh my God! Oh my God! You people are fascists! You are Hitler! You are rabid dog! Shame on you! May you never live another day!
I am a professor!
This is every professor,
I am
everyone!
a professor of economics!
You are rabid dogs! You are fascists!
It was a peaceful protest until they started fighting troopers. I agree with you.
L-I-N. I reacted impulsively. I apologize.
No, you're right. It's my truth now. I'm gonna share this.
Please remove the handcuffs.
See, you want to know why the kids are disorderly? Because they have moronic professors like this that aren't willing to let kids be accountable, be held accountable. The kids are disrupting school. Students can't go to school. You got Jewish students that are scared to go to their classes, and you got idiotic professors like this. This is the problem with liberals. They don't grow up. Oh, we want to be a part. That chick looked like she's 60 years old, acting like worried about what the cops are doing to a protester that's disrupting other people's lives and breaking the law. Obviously, otherwise that person would not be getting detained and or arrested. And then so she comes up and she wants to put her 2 cents in, doesn't even know what's going on. But the problem is these little left-wing loons have not been held accountable. So that the moment the handcuffs she's put in handcuffs. Oh, I'm sorry. I overreacted. I'm a professor. I don't give a flip who you are. Right now, you're a detainee. That's who you are. All right. These people need to learn there's consequences for acting silly. There's consequences for breaking the law, and they're not above the law. I'm so glad she was detained. Forgive me. I just wish they would have body slammed her just a little bit harder. I don't want to hurt her permanently. I just want her to remember for a long, long time. Anyway, all right. Now, here's this has got to be Texas. Look at that hat. Look at that hat. Look at that hat. State trooper, I believe, in Texas, or maybe just a state trooper, because I do see state troopers out here wearing hats like that too. But let's go ahead and roll this video. This is how you handle these pro-Hamas protesters. Let's go ahead and roll this last video here, por favor. Yeah, bye.
You're hurting me! Just don't lift me! You're hurting me! Ow! 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 Help! Help!
All right. That's how you handle these fools. That's how you handle these fools. They don't want accountability. They can't just disrupt civil society and expect no consequences. This is what we're raising up. These are our nation's leaders, our future nation's leaders, and we're in deep trouble if they are. All right, now, let me just share this. Let me close out with this. This column I thought was really good. The Intifada Comes to America Now What? By Frank Mealy. Or Frank, I believe it's Frank Mealy. All right, but he starts off here. Death to America. All right, quote unquote. We're used to that chant, maybe too used to it, he says. If you're old enough, you heard it in 1979 during the Iranian hostage crisis when supporters of the Ayatollah Khamenei invaded the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. All right. So as we sink deeper into this abyss of the post-Christian era in America, something's going to replace it. That's what you have to understand. Something is going to replace it. And you can hate America all you want, but you better travel, you better look around, you better read and find out how other nations, especially the nations that these lefties prop up in the Middle East, you better find out how they treat their citizens. You think this would happen on a college campus anywhere in the Middle East, this type of disorderly conduct? Heck to the no. It would never happen. These guys besmirch and they degrade America for the freedoms that America gives. And honestly, I feel like some of these people are crossing the line, but I'm not sure. I have to be really careful with this. The title of this podcast is Intifada Free Speech. And I think there's a dangerous line that perhaps is being crossed, but I'm still working this out in my own mind. But since the Ayatollah's takeover of Iran, chants of death to America have become all too common. The writer writes, they've been a recurring thing of Islamic fundamentalism. along with death to Israel. So you have death to America, death to Israel. The Khomeini even went so far as to declare the United States the great Satan. Why did he do that? He did that in order to goad Muslims into a religious fervor that was aimed at destroying America. So now we're known as the Great Satan. So this is why you see Iran, the mullahs of Iran, not the people of Iran, but the mullahs of Iran, literally, setting off all these proxy wars against Israel, but also against the United States. Our Navy vessels have been attacked over 100 times in the Middle East area because they look at Joe Biden as weak and feckless, and they hate America. And we can kiss their booties all we want, but if you don't understand that they have a religious worldview that is different from a Judeo-Christian worldview, you will never get it. And these idiot that's why they'll never get it. A lot of these protesters are just void of God. They've been told that the Bible is silly. They don't get it. So the very people, they think they're helping these people out. They're not. The Islamists, the Hamas terrorists, they will slit these fools' necks in a second. Remember ISIS. Remember the people that ISIS was slaughtering. Some Americans, they were liberals. They didn't care. They don't care. Man, you're going to bow down to Allah. That's what they want. So after the 9/11 terror attacks, the World Trade Center was destroyed. Innocent, thousands of people were murdered. We saw that at the Pentagon. We saw it with the plane that went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. All of this stuff still chants to death to America, and this is what's happening. We've seen this. The writer writes, the World Trade Center was destroyed in a terror attack in 2001. Thousands of innocent lives were taken there at the Pentagon and on an empty field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The jarring chant was heard from the West Bank, from Gaza, from Somalia, and across the Muslim world. You guys may remember that video that popped up when 9/11, the Twin Towers were struck, and you could see Muslims, that's what they think of us. They didn't feel our pain. They were so happy. And now they're being heard on American soil. And we're supposed to pretend like this is just regular free speech. I'm not so sure. The writer writes, it is being written off by some naive commentators as First Amendment protected speech. No big deal. We were told by a Supreme Court justice at one point in time, if the Constitution is not a suicide pact, why tolerate anti-American rhetoric from thousands of newcomers? What we're listening to when people are chanting death to America, I'm not sure that that's free speech anymore, because I think we have fools that are actually committed to completely undermining free speech, our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, our way of life. And so I'm getting a little nervous. I got to admit to you. You have that death to America chant heard in Dearborn, Michigan at that rally. Who was it? Tariq Bazi is his name, on Al Quds Day. Dave specifically an anti-Israel holiday. These guys mean it, and they're taking advantage of it. They're taking advantage of Joe Biden. Joe Biden for his support in Israel. In the Gaza war, that guy said, it's not Genocide Joe that has to go. It is the entire system that has to go. The entire system. So when people like this guy, Tariq Bazi, says death to America, we should believe him, and perhaps we should kick him out of the freaking country. I'm not so sure that free speech, I'm not so sure that's free speech. Intimidating threats like that. Dearborn, Michigan is the largest population center for Muslims in America, so the anti-Israel rhetoric there is to be expected. But what we're witnessing is sedition, basically the conduct of speech that is now inciting people to rebel against the very nation of the United States of America. And I'm not so sure that's free speech as much as that's terrorism. Maybe if the FBI focused on these people instead of patriotic Americans that happen to be at the J6 rally, America would be a safer place. Ask yourself, are these actions of free speech? On April 15th, pro-Palestinian protesters, pro-Hamas protesters shut down the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. We ran the video for you guys. That same day in Oregon, traffic was shut down in one direction on I-5 by protesters wielding Palestinian flags. Roads number 3, roads were also shut down in Seattle, Chicago to block air travelers from accessing their terminals. We showed you that video. This was a coordinated effort. It was promises to be first of many with the aim of causing the most economic impact. Is that free speech? Is that free speech? Getting in front of cars, standing in front of cars, disrupting your way of life. Is that free speech? Biden's administration's policies, from open borders to his weak foreign policies, has ushered in a global intifada. It's a resistance. Intifada being a resistance to the state or the monarchy, and what we're seeing as an intifada against American society, against American culture. And they're rising up. Now, I think China is going to take advantage of this. That's why there's so many, and I'm sure I'll get into that tomorrow, so many illegals from China still coming in to the United States. But we're talking about intifada. Intifada equals resistance. It's not assimilation. And what these fools are calling for, even these naive, useful idiots on college campuses, they're calling for a global intifada. They don't even know. These guys are brilliant, right? These are smart kids, but they're so brainwashed. They're dumb. If you have the wrong information, you wind up with the wrong conclusions. I've been saying that for years, and that's exactly what's happening with our brightest of the bright. These commies are getting the worst information or the wrong information into their minds, and then you get that guy that was sweet as sweet tea, on there talking about Zionists or Nazis and fascists and supporters of genocide. You cannot come up with a dumber statement than that. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing to me. So, and it's also time to rethink settling Muslim. Now, listen, I know the borders are wide open. So, Carl, what does this make? Well, I'll tell you what, Lord willing, if Trump gets in, I'm telling you, resettling Muslim from refugee nations, maybe somebody else needs to speak about it, because obviously it's going to be warfare with the left. But, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Afghanistan, all these hot zones, nah. Frankly, I think there needs to be a moratorium on immigration, period. But this is what happens. You get these globalist billionaires, right, that feel guilty about their wealth, that have no moral compass. They're absolutely bored. And then they want to make sure that they make the world a better place by spreading the wealth. But they still want to control the masses. And then, sadly, you have these Islamists that have been able to use the left-wing media, the mainstream media in the United States, to make them the victims when they were the ones that perpetrated the attack on October 7th, gang raping women and children and so on, etc. Still got hostages there. This is absolutely insane what we're seeing. And I wish these people would have to go to Gaza and see for themselves and live under the authority of Hamas and see how life is. Man, we are just growing up a bunch of naive, stupid people that are making the world a much more dangerous place. America does have a place in the world. We're supposed to be a shining city on a hill. And when you have idiots like this, they're making the world a more dangerous place. So I'm not sure that protected speech is intimidating speech like we've seen, discriminatory speech when you get on a bridge. I don't think that's free speech. Free speech it's not without consequence. You may be able to say what you want. It's not without consequence. But I'm not even sure if when you start talking about a global intifada, when you start talking about when you're basically in bed with Hamas, intimidating Jews, scaring Jews, beating them up, is that free speech? I'm not sure. The writer closes out as Islamic protests escalate over the next few months. Actually, I don't think it is. That is a debate that should be quickly concluded. All right. He says one of the issues that we are actively debating is to actually clarify where language crosses the line from protected speech to discriminatory or harassing speech. I don't think that's the right language, because discriminatory or harassing speech, that may be free speech. Intimidating, when you're threatening and intimidating, I think that's the next level. If I call the cops and I say someone threatened to kill me, they take them away. As Islamic protests escalate over the next few months, that is the debate that should be quickly concluded, not just at Columbia, but across America. Man, when these fools chant death to America, they should leave. Frankly, I wish American-born citizens, if they ever said it, I wish they had to be tossed out too. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This has been your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Again, please remember, subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. Also follow me on all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. And until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you guys.